So today's story time is about two teachers of mine, specifically about how I probably could have gotten them both fired. We'll get into it, but before I do that, I want to tell a little backstory about one of these teachers, okay? So back in high school, I had two teachers. Let's call the first teacher Mr. Jones and the second one Mrs. Brown, okay? So right when I went into high school in 9th grade, I was outside of my house after school one day, smoking a cigarette. No one was home. I was outside smoking because back then I thought it was cool. Now let me just preface something. Don't smoke cigarettes. Under any circumstance, do not smoke cigarettes. It has got to be the dumbest thing ever. Like, you're just spending money to hurt your body. So don't do that. But anyway, yeah, back in 9th grade, I kind of experimented with trying it because I thought it might make me look cool. And I was outside my house one day smoking one. And my teacher, Mr. Jones, must have lived nearby or something because he passed by my house and saw me smoking one. And he stopped in front of my house and he looked at me and gave me a real dirty look. And he gets out of his car, puts it in park, gets out of his car, walks up to me in front of my house and goes, "Austin, what in the fuck do you think you're doing?" I was like, smoking. He goes, "Are you stupid? Like, are you brain dead? It's illegal to be doing that. Put that out before I call the cops immediately." And me being a smart-ass kid, I was like, well, actually, it's illegal to buy them. I can smoke them. He's like, "No, you fucking can't. Put it out right now or I'm calling the cops." And he pulls out his phone and he starts dialing 911. So naturally, I put the cigarette out because I'm not trying to get in trouble, for smoking by cops. So yeah, after I put the cigarette out, he got in his car and he drove off. And I hated him every day after that because me being a stuck-up, hard-headed kid, I didn't like being told what to do. So every time I go into school and I had his class, I would just resent him. I would completely just pretend he wasn't there and I wouldn't try in his class at all, which ultimately just led to me having an even bigger demise because I was failing his class and I thought that I was teaching him a lesson. But yeah, anyway, didn't like him very much. Kind of a stupid reason, but it gets better, okay? So fast forward halfway through the year of 9th grade. I'm really just bored one day in class, specifically my last period class, and I decided to go to the bathroom. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom, but I was just so bored I wanted to go for a walk. So I get up and I ask my teacher if I can go. And she's like, "Yeah, for sure." So I go out in the hallway and I start going towards the bathroom. Now the thing about me is I don't like using public restrooms, bro. Public bathrooms are so fucking gross, it's not even funny, especially at school. Every time you walk into a school bathroom, it looks like a fucking war just took place in there. I hate going to them. So I would use the teacher's bathroom. I've talked about it in other videos before. Now, usually you would use a key to get into it, but for some reason the one at our school on my floor was just broken, like the lock, so you could just go in there whenever. And it was a million times nicer than the student bathrooms. So yeah, I headed towards the teacher's bathroom. And when I walked up to the door of the teacher's bathroom, I immediately smelled something, and it smelled real familiar. It smelled like smoke, specifically cigarette smoke. So I immediately thought about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to open this door, and there's going to be some kid in here smoking a cigarette. So I decided to not open the door and interrupt him smoking a cigarette because, he probably didn't want to get caught. So I waited. I just kind of put my back up against the lockers and waited for whoever was in there to be done. And let me tell you, I waited for a long time. They took fucking forever. I must have been waiting there for 15 minutes. And finally, when that 15 minutes was up, I start to hear the doorknob turn, and I look over at the door, and at this point, I'm really interested to see who was in there, because I wondered if it was one of my friends. And the door opens, and I see two of my teachers walk out of that bathroom with smoke pouring out of the bathroom. They were just hotboxing that bitch with cigarette smoke. And it's my teachers, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Brown. It's those two. They walk out. Now, I didn't really care that much about Mrs. Brown doing that in there because I didn't know her that well. But Mr. Jones, the one that completely shit all over me for smoking cigarettes earlier on in the year, when I saw him and the look on his face that he gave me when I caught him in the act like that, the guilt on his face, I just walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Mr. Jones? How you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, Austin, what are you doing over here right now?" I was like, "Just about to use the bathroom." He's like, "Well, that's the teacher's bathroom. You're not supposed to use that one." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't like using the student bathrooms. They're gross." He's like, "Okay, that's understandable. You can use it this one time, but not anymore." I was like, "Hey, Mr. Jones, I have a question for you. Just a real quick question." He's like, "What's up? What is it?" I was like, "Why is there cigarette smoke in the teacher's bathroom? I just saw it pouring out when you guys opened the door. Were you and Miss Brown in there smoking?" He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Are you sure? Because I see cigarette smoke coming out of there right now. I could smell it too. You don't smell that? It smells like cigarettes." He's like, "Nope, don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Mr. Jones, don't fucking lie to me right now. I'm not stupid. Just admit you were smoking a fucking cigarette and we can go on with our day." And he gets all pissed off. He's like, Austin, don't use that language right now. I was like, listen, I just caught you smoking a cigarette on school property in school, and you're worried about me saying the F word. And the whole time Mrs. Brown is standing there looking so sad and guilty, she just turns around and walks away because she knew she was caught red-handed. And then he's looking at me, and he finally just breaks his angry character, and he goes, all right, listen, Austin, please, I'm begging you. Like, I know this is so unprofessional, but please don't tell anyone about this. And I was like, really? So you really were just smoking in there? He's like, yes, but please, like, I'm ashamed. I'm trying to quit. If you tell anybody about this, I could lose my job. And I didn't even have any plans to tell anyone. I was literally just being a troll at this point. I was kind of just trolling him because I was still kind of butthurt about earlier on that year when he pulled up outside of my house and yelled at me. So I was literally just having fun with it. So after about 5 minutes of going back and forth, he keeps begging me not to tell anybody. And I just completely break my fucking angry character that I was playing. And I was like, hey man, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell anyone. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm just having fun with it. Like, you're good. Your secret's safe with me. However, maybe next time just go out to your car at lunch or something instead of doing it at school because that was really fucking obvious. He's like, yeah, I won't do that again. I'm so sorry. Like, super unprofessional of me. I was like, I really don't care. I'm just saying, like, if you don't want to lose your job, you probably shouldn't do that. He's like, yeah, man. And he leaves. Goes on to class. So after that, I go back to class and I sit down and I think about what just happened and I wonder if it was real or not, or if I just had a fucking fever dream. And yeah, that shit happened. But I look back on it now, and I probably shouldn't have trolled him as hard. I kind of feel bad about it sometimes. But at the same time, probably shouldn't smoke at school, especially if you're a teacher. That's definitely just really, really stupid. Like, you know you're fucking up if me, of all people, is the one that catches you. But anyway, today's story time pretty much ends there. Moral of the story is, don't smoke cigs. Honestly, just don't smoke cigarettes. They're fucking gross. But yeah, shout out to Mr. Jones, Miss Brown, if they're watching this, even though that's not their real names. But yeah, if you guys are watching this, I hope you quit. And I'm sorry for failing your class, Mr. Jones, because I definitely failed your class a couple times.
Am I the asshole for asking my son to stop speaking his native language? I'm originally from Egypt, but moved to Sweden after I accidentally became pregnant while on vacation several years back. My parents were pissed off at the news since I wasn't married to the father of my child, so I decided to separate from them and moved to Sweden and married my husband. We now have a son who is 15 and a cat. I recently convinced my husband and son to move to Egypt, and things have been a little rough. Our son has been fighting left and right. One of the main reasons I wanted to move back was because my parents and I have made peace, but they do not want any Swedish spoken in their presence as it isn't their language. My son knows Arabic as a second language, but he refuses to speak it when he doesn't have to, instead speaking in Swedish for most of the time. My parents have told me they don't like it, and I don't like it either. I find it disrespectful, and I feel like Sweden isn't part of our lives anymore, so I asked my son if he could stop speaking the language. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking my sister and brother-in-law to clean the urine in my truck? I have a truck, and therefore I am everyone's first contact if they need to move anything. I typically have reasons to get out of it, but this time my sister needed help moving. She and her husband are expecting twins next month, so they bought a house about an hour away from their apartment, and they're trying to get settled before the babies are born. I had plans but pushed them back so I could help them make 2 trips to the new house. My sister was packing things at the apartment and came with us on the second trip to the house. About 20 minutes away from the new house, my sister said that we needed to pull over so she could use the bathroom. I let her know how close we were so she could hold it for a little longer, and her husband demanded I pull into the nearest gas station, but we were about to pass it anyway. So again I said she could hold it for a bit, and well, she released a full bladder of piss all over the back of my truck. She couldn't get it all cleaned out when we got to the house, so I told her I'd want them to cover the rest of the cleanup. Am I the asshole for expecting an adult to be responsible for their own pee?
Bye guys, thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. Please like and subscribe to see more great videos. See you again.